Perfect.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rosendale. And as always, it's a pleasure to serve under your chairing. And it's a real pleasure to sum up this debate for the Scottish National Party. And I want to congratulate our trio of trusty troubadours led by the Caithness choirmaster for bringing this important issue to the House. And I refer to my entry in the Register of Members' Interests. And this is yet another instalment of the ongoing travails of our live music industry and the artists who are involved in the front line of that. The next verse in the song entitled The Worst of Times. Live music is vulnerable like no other sector to the strictures and conditions of COVID. It suffers probably more than any other sector with the requirement to keep people socially distanced as we get on top of this pandemic. Music is a social business. It involves people coming together, it involves performance, and it's all about community, about coming together, and it's obvious that music will suffer as a result of people being able to be restricted from coming together on that basis. And I think other sectors can now look forward with a degree of optimism about their prospects and the possibility of getting back to work and back to normal. Live music can only survey its future with a continuing anxiety and concern underpinned with this lack of clarity at the heart of the planning and going forward. And everybody just wants to get back to a gig. We've heard from honourable members today just how imperative this is and what this does, not just for the economy of this nation, but for our well-being, our sense of ourselves, about our enjoyment and the things that we like to get out and do, which makes us feel normal. And there was a YouGov survey that really struck me just a couple of weeks ago that showed that half of the UK population want to go to a live event this summer, while 75% believe that live events are a critical part of our culture. So we know that the demand is there and people are just waiting for the green light to go out and see their favourite bands once again. I think that all honourable members are right to remind us just of the contribution that live music does bring to our economy and that sense of joy that music gives to us all. And this government can help unlock this boost to the economy at no real cost to themselves by just giving this commitment to help underwrite the costs in case of any cancellations that might occur. Cancellations, nothing to do with the festivals, but because of going along and obeying and meeting the requirements set by governments. And we do recognise that the government is doing, and we do welcome the measures that's already outlined, and I'm sure the Minister will tell us about them again. And there's no question about the fact that this has been thoroughly good. The expanded support for freelancers to self-employed is a step in the right direction. In an industry where 3/4 of the 200,000 workforce are self-employed, and we welcome the 300 million boost to the Cultural Recovery Fund. But I still don't understand why it can't be extended to include freelancers, as is the case in how we operate our schemes in Scotland and in Wales. All of this is welcome. All of this will help. But for live music, and particularly our festivals, as we've heard from honourable members who have discussed the festivals in their own constituencies, there has to be guarantees and assurances so that live events can go ahead secure in the knowledge that if there are COVID events beyond their control, there will be somebody there to step in. And it's only a period of weeks. There's only a period of weeks in the staging live music events this summer. Organisers will have to make decisions in these next few days and weeks about whether they can proceed or whether they will be forced to cancel. It's all about having the confidence to proceed and the security to go ahead. The live music industry urgently needs this government-backed insurance scheme to protect against the risk of losses if a festival or concert is forced to cancel due to COVID. Already, as we've heard, it's too late for some. When it comes to our great music festivals across the UK, some have decided they just can't take the risk, such as Glastonbury, and that won't be going ahead for a second year this year. While others, as we've heard, have decided that the risk is still worth taking, and they're still planning to put on their festival events such as Reading and Leeds festivals have been mentioned, and I really hope that they are able to go ahead this year. But there's some still assessing that risk. Festivals such as Latitude, Wireless and Download saying that everything hangs in the balance, with the final choice being dependent on whether or not there will be an insurance scheme in place. And I think it's worth recognising, Mr. Rosendale, that even without COVID, festivals are already a risky business, and that risk could be in the order of millions of pounds even without COVID. The fields of the UK are littered with failed festival enterprises, and every year the margins are getting tighter, and every year it gets tougher and tougher for festivals to prosper and to succeed. And the festival experience is variously a holiday, a rite of passage, and an opportunity to participate in a little weekend of all-consuming hedonism. I think the general rule is if you remember it, you weren't really there. Now, I've been pretty lucky. I've seen festivals from both sides. I've played in most of the big festivals around Europe, and I know exactly what they mean to people. Not just the people who go and see it, great it is for them, but for the artists. I think it's only me and the Right Honourable Member for Islington that have appeared live on the Pyramid stage at Glastonbury, though I think I'm the only one that actually appeared there with a musical instrument. And for the artist, it is the highlight of the live performance calendar. And for so many, it's an essential source of income. When you're a new band and you're invited along to a festival like Tea in the Park, Reading or Glastonbury, and you're sharing a stage with legends, people who have been in the business for decades, it is such an immense thrill and opportunity. And sometimes you get the opportunity to play to thousands, tens of thousands of people where you've maybe just come from performing in the local pub and you're tipped as being the next big thing, and that's a real opportunity to test your talent. So for musicians, it's immensely huge, and it's such an important feature of the development of their career and the progression of what they have to offer. And it's not just about the musicians, it's about the crew, the stage constructors, the security staff, and the hundreds of members of the public recruited to ensure the success of the event. In fact, building a festival, it's like constructing a temporary large town or small city with all the infrastructure that's required. I had Tea in the Park just next door to me in the South Perthshire constituency, and for one weekend per year when Tea in the Park was on the go, it was the 8th largest settlement in Scotland. And it's more than that, it's what it delivers for the community. In Perthshire, Tea in the Park was the second biggest festival in the UK. And throughout that weekend when Tea in the Park was on, every single hotel and restaurant in Perth, in my constituency, was full. The whole communities of Kinross and Milnathorpe, which was there really as a sort of a base camp for Tea in the Park, were practically part of the festival. And so we need this reassurance, and we need to make sure that this could go ahead, not just for the artists, not just for the musicians, not just for the industry, but for the communities that we serve. They need to know that they can go ahead with security and they would have the confidence to put on these festivals again. And I think it was the Honourable Member for Cardiff, or it was certainly one of our trio that did mention the fact that other countries are able to do this. They think it's valuable. When we saw last week in Denmark alone that they've become the latest country to introduce government-backed insurance for events. And I know Danish festivals really well. Festivals are an intrinsic part of the music offer in Denmark. Every single town and city is a festival. So they've moved in to protect their industry. And I congratulate the Danish government for that. But it's not just them. There's festival organisers have been supported in Germany, in Norway, the Netherlands, Austria and Belgium. If all these countries right across Europe can do it, why can't the UK? And it all starts with the UK government engaging with the industry and how best to ensure that we do get an insurance scheme that works for our live music sector. Now we know and we've heard that the government has already backed the film industry with a bespoke insurance scheme. Great, and it's required and it needed to happen, but it needs to happen for music too. And there is a proposal on the table, and we know that there's several live events organisations have got together and worked to produce a scheme. It's actually probably sitting on the minister's desk. All you need to do is sign it off, and we're there. And it's a supported scheme by Times. There's calling for the UK to support a £650 million insurance to get our live sector back on its feet. This proposal could support the whole of the live events, promoters, venues and artists, prevent job losses and economic activity. And as an insurance fund, it has the added benefit that it may not even be actually used, making it even more cost effective than grants. The government has absolutely nothing to lose by getting involved with the live music sector and going along with this. And this package of support would be targeted directly at UK beneficiaries, providing them the support and confidence to put on shows and events and unleashing over £2 billion of economic potential. Nothing to lose, Minister. Have a look at the scheme and give it your backing and give this the green light. And the proposed scheme would only be a time frame up to the end of 2022. It'd only be available to companies putting on shows and lines with guidance, not cover non-coronavirus issues, and claims that would be capped at a certain budget must be justified. This is all in the government's hands. It's all there, ready to go if there is the political will. And the benefit for the minister this time round, she doesn't have to deal with the invidious EU. It's nothing to do with them this time. They're not a constraining feature or factor. She doesn't have to sit round the table to negotiate a visa arrangement with them. It's all about her and her department. The only person she needs to knock on the door is the Treasury to unlock this fund, give the assurance, give the confidence, give the backing, get this unleashed. People want to go to gigs, let them go. The artists, let me tell you, Minister, the artists just cannot wait to get back to performing live. I think all of us have enjoyed, and I've tried every week to watch a live show online just to make sure that our artists are supported. But believe me, they want to play in front of audiences again, and they have been deprived of that for a year, and they need to have that contact. They need to get these guitars, keyboards, drums, bass, whatever, in front of an audience and ply the trade. People want to get back to gigs. Live music is important to all the communities you represent, and live music, music tourism, gives this real boost to our economy. This is in the government's hands. It can give the reassurance that's required. Let's bring the music back.